Hi, this is David Rice. I have the Substack, Hit Christian, and I have Ali Graeff here with me. And you can find us at Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Substack, of course, and I'm forgetting one, Missouri Liberty Radio, which is through Owensville. Sam Britton puts me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And Ali Graeff is here to talk about what's been going on with her lawsuit against Jay Ashcroft and the SOS's office. There's been a lot of conflict in trying to discover whether the voting is our elections have integrity. Our elections are what's the word you would describe it as? Because our elections seem to be
They're,
invalid.
yeah, illegal. They're not legal. By
Okay.
definition, not legal. So they're not invalid. Yeah.
And you said in the video I watched yesterday that you've gone back and you've looked at it, and our elections have been illegal for many cycles. It's not just the past couple ones. We've had problems for since the machines have started or even further back.
Well, no, it's really been since the machines, but the shenanigans, I mean, as far as we could tie it back to with the accreditation problem, would be maybe 2008, 2009.
Okay.
There was only three to begin with. There was only three laboratories. So what my well, I'll give you a little bit about my story and how the
Sure.
law, how I even found this, because I don't know if your viewers know that, but I'm a real estate agent, and I was obviously like everybody else. I saw the election get stolen from Trump. I mean, we saw it with our own eyes. We saw it flip on the news. We all watched it, and
Yeah.
so I started digging, and where my kind of specialty is contracts. I'm a real estate agent. I'm used to looking at contracts. I was a property manager before that. All we dealt with contracts. So I started to familiarize myself with our systems and how they work, and the electronic voting machines and what it takes to what are these electronic voting machines? Is it a tabulator? Is it a poll pad? What is it? What do we use?
Mhm.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people kind of go by, oh, the Dominion machines are bad. No, I mean, they're all of them, every one
Yeah.
of them are bad. And so I started looking, and in the HAVA Act, now the HAVA Act, the Help America Vote Act, was implemented in 2002. And that was from everybody. Well, maybe everybody remembers the hanging chads, but that
Yeah.
was a disaster that I would, almost welcome at this point, because we're at least, a step above where we're at now. But they brought in the machines because they thought it was going to be more efficient and
Mhm.
more accurate. Obviously, they didn't consider it was going to be legal, but so our elections are supposed to be for the people by the people, not for the people by the machines. Um,
Mhm.
and we can't. My biggest problem was we can't see how the machine is counting the votes. We can't see that. We're not privy to that information. The Secretary of State isn't even privy to that information. He had one opportunity to get it, and he failed. He didn't even try. But
So the information is proprietary to the owners or the creators of the machines. And so they're not sharing that with the
the source,
voters or the
yeah,
Secretary of State.
right. Well, the source code is, and I'm not going to get into the weeds because it can, when people you hear source code, people kind of tune out.
Yeah.
But source code is basically what's written to tell the machine what to do. So the machine doesn't do anything that's not written in the source code, right? And if that is proprietary information to the manufacturers and the escrow company.
Mhm.
So the escrow, so I looked, these are just a few things that I've looked at, but the escrow company that is holding our source code for Unison Open Elect is NCC Group, which is an international escrow company.
Okay.
So the source code of how our votes are counted is held in the UK.
So
Um,
it's not American,
it's
it's not even Missouri.
no, oh no, no. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I wish it was. No, it's in the UK. It's they say they have, NCC Group has American subsidiaries, and they have all these shell companies that they try to
Mm.
pawn off as, American addresses, but we know what they are. But
Mm.
the headquarters of NCC Group, which is the escrow company, is held in another country. So how can the source code of our most critical infrastructure be held in another country? That's insane. Then they have access to. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm sure the queen can get whatever she wants. No, I mean, like,
Yeah.
so I just thought that was astonishing. But that isn't even. That was just the beginning of seeing this. But what I did, and you read through HAVA, and a lot of it is monotonous and a lot of it is boring, but it states in there that there is policies and regulations that they have to go by, and in order for the Secretary of State to approve our machines, they have to be tested and certified by an accredited laboratory. Now that's important because an accredited laboratory. So what does that mean? Well, it turns out when I started looking back in the end of 2021, there were 3 accredited
Okay.
laboratories. So there's not even like there's 200 to keep up with. There's 3. There's now 2.
So there's 2 laboratories and they're responsible for crediting all the elections in every county across the
No,
entire United
no,
States.
no, they're not, nothing to do with the counties. So they're in charge of testing and certifying the machines and the software and
Okay.
our critical infrastructure that has been designated as critical infrastructure has to be tested and certified by an accredited laboratory. So
Okay.
if it's not tested and certified by an accredited laboratory, which also states that it has to be done by the EAC, so an
Mm.
accredited by the EAC, and the 2 laboratories now, well, there was 3, but even the same with the third, they're not federally accredited under the policies and regulations and rules that they have implemented in their BSTL manual. So in
And
their
the EAC is Election Authority Commission.
Elected Assistance Commission, so the
Okay.
commission is made up of 4 appointed by Congress and Senate. I think it's our president. Actually, I think it's the president that does it. But so they accredit these laboratories, I guess, bless them, whatever. There is a lot of that goes into the application of a federally accredited laboratory. There's checks and balances. You've got you have to submit, I think, any conflicts of interest. You have
Mm.
to, I mean, there's a lot of checks and balances that go in with the application to be approved by the EAC as an accredited laboratory. And it all states it in the BSTL manual, which is the voting system standard, voting system, BSTL manual, voting system standard manual, I think it is.
Okay.
They have a lot of abbreviations. There's a lot of them to keep up with.
Sure.
Their manual that they use is the BSTL manual. Now, in that manual, it
Mhm.
states that an accredited laboratory has to have a certificate of accreditation, and it has to have certain things on these first, and it has to be signed by the chairman of the EAC. So the only signing authority would be the chairman.
Okay.
And it also has to be specific on dates. It has to be for a 2-year period. And once that 2-year period, they have to go get reaccredited. Again, that process with the checks and balances, the conflicts of interest, all of these things are pretty basic in your accreditation field, right? I mean, it's
Sure.
not that's brain surgery. So I started looking at these certifications, and none of them are signed by the chair of the EAC. Not one. None of them are. They're all signed
So
by an executive director.
all of the machines that are supposed to be accredited, and they go through this process, but instead of getting the signature that's required to verify that they've gone through the process, they're not getting the signature. So they're
So
failing.
the laboratory.
Okay, the laboratory's failing.
We're not even talking the machines right now. We're
Okay.
only talking about the laboratories that test the machines. Because if there is no laboratory that is
Mhm.
testing accredited laboratory, the machine, it doesn't even matter because
Sure.
they can't get past, right? So the laboratory has to have,
Laboratories are failing.
yeah, the lab, well, the EAC has failed, the laboratories have failed, our
Mm.
executive branch has failed, our AG has failed. They've all
Mhm.
failed because they're all completely aware of this. Now, you ask, why would that be a big deal? Like, why is that certification, why are they trying to pawn it off as an executive director? Trying to pass the executive director's signature off as the chairman. It's very strange. These are their own rules and regulations that they're going by, that they're breaking. So in order for them to change these rules and regulations, there are procedures involved in that.
Yeah.
And it's the Administrative Procedures Act. So you'd have to go through the Administrative Procedures Act. You'd have to have it in the public register. You'd have to open it up for public comment. They've done none of this. None of this. They're just continuing to break the law. And so I brought it to the attention of why this matters is because if we're using machines that are tested by an unaccredited laboratory, similarly to a DUI, like an intoxilizer machine, like a breathalyzer,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how accurate that breathalyzer is. If that breathalyzer is not legal, has any chinks in the armor, has not been certified, calibration's off, doesn't follow the scientific standards, if any of that is off, you can't use the results of those intoxilizer machines in a court of law. They're not legal. So it doesn't matter how accurate they are. So our Secretary of State and my election director, Kurt Barr, like to say, oh, they're accurate. We do testing and accuracy. It's like, it's irrelevant. It doesn't, they're not legal. And if laws matter here,
Sorry. Let me turn off that.
What was that?
I have a Ring doorbell and someone came to my front door.
Oh, I didn't even hear it. But if laws matter, then that stuff matters, because the print off, sort to say, same as the intoxilizer, the print off that our machines are giving us, which is our vote tallies, are not legal or valid. So
yeah,
I brought this, and this is contract law. This is, the certification is open source. It's there. He'll give it to you. He's signing off on these, and he's rubber stamping what these federal agencies are doing, and he knows he's doing it. I mean, he even admitted it in an interview, that he knows. He knows that they passed it off as, there were some things why they didn't get accredited. He uses it as a COVID excuse, except their COVID excuse was used
after the fact, right?
No, before.
Before the fact.
So these accreditations from 17 to 19, the EAC tried to say that was COVID. And it was like, COVID wasn't until 2020, March of 2020. I even have it where President Trump, said it was a national pandemic, whatever. So how could 17 through 19, could COVID have anything to do with why they didn't accredit the laboratories appropriately? And the NTS laboratory, that specifically in Missouri, they don't use NTS anymore, because I mean, if you ask me, it's because I brought it to light and they yanked it. But NTS never had an accreditation. They never had an accreditation on file. In fact, I FOIA'd it and said I would like the accreditation, the EAC federal accreditation for NTS laboratories, which 66% of Missouri used. So they used machines that were tested and certified by NTS. It was never, they said, we have no records. We have no records for that. They have nothing. So that's when I got that, I knew something was very wrong. Like, all of these people are just thinking this is okay. So I was learning, I was watching President Trump, and I was, there's a lot of people that, just true blue patriots that are just so mad about this, and they were wanting to know how to get involved. And so I was watching some people and learning, the lawsuits that were filed, and everybody was getting dismissed on standing. So I decided that I learned that getting on the ballot actually gives you standing. The fact that you're a citizen and a voter doesn't give you standing, but getting on the ballot,
crazy, because you would think that your right to vote has some kind of legal standing to be protected. That
you'd think.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, you'd think, but no, it doesn't. So getting on the ballot did me a few things. It gave me standing, but it also gave me, that I learned, because I have no interest in swimming in those murky waters.
You don't want to be in the swamp.
to gain standing to
Mhm.
get this out and to fix our elections. But at the end is a contestation that you could file as a candidate. And so I was like, well, hey, I've got an option at the end of this, no matter what, that I could have this contestation, whether I win or lose. It didn't
Mhm.
matter. I was going to file this contestation to contest the legitimacy and not the accuracy, but the legality of the
Yeah.
elections. They're not legal. And we have to get them legal. If we want to
Mhm.
trust them, we have to get them legal, and they don't want to get them legal. So
Well,
that's when I filed the federal lawsuit.
sure.
As soon as I got on the ballot, I filed a federal lawsuit against the EAC and Secretary of State Ashcroft. And that they dismissed it for standing and said I didn't have a right to they said that the EAC, because it was the EAC, so some sovereign immunity deal, and they tossed it because it was the EAC,
Yeah.
federal agency, and they have immunity against them, whatever. So even though we argued it and they don't, but it wasn't, I was going up against Merrick Garland. And it's important to note that there was not an attorney that would take this as me as
Yeah.
a, and it's not because there's no merit to the case. It's because
Mhm.
there's very powerful organizations like the 65 Project that are threatening and harassing any attorneys that take on election cases from the circuit court, federal. I mean, they
Could you
just
explain what the 65 project is?
so the 65project.org is a very powerful organization with very powerful money behind it, with the likes of like Mark Elias. And if you
Okay.
go to 65 Project on their website, I mean, they don't hide it. They are bragging about them. They have new lists going out of all of the election fraud attorneys that they're going after. And they would harass their family members. They would go after them for ethics violations. They would go after their license, their bar license. I mean, it's crazy. So you couldn't find anybody that would take this on. And I was like, okay, well, then I'll just do it myself, right? I mean, I'm going to get this on the record one way or another, because I've learned in this, you can't expect justice from an unjust system. You can't. And so my whole goal was to get it on the record that in the future, this would be marked and people would pay. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen overnight. I knew it wasn't, because I
No.
could see all the corruption happening within all of the branches. But I knew at the end, at win or lose, I was going to file a contestation. So, and I'm sure Ashcroft knew that too. And so, right, they give you like a 5-day window as a candidate. They don't give you very long. And the 5-day window, I got my contestation in the 5-day window. And you're supposed to, within 5 days, get a hearing. You're supposed to have, this is supposed to be very quick. As you saw with Carrie Lakes, it was, her contestation was very quick. Within a month,
Yeah.
she had a case, she had a hearing, she had a trial. Not me. So I filed it on the 31st of August of 2022.
Okay.
And I didn't even get a initial status hearing until September 19th. And
So
on
that's
that day,
uh-huh.
Secretary Ashcroft removed it to federal courts. He removed a county contestation that the Missouri law gives exclusive jurisdiction
Mhm.
to, I think it's 115.535 or 53. It gives exclusive jurisdiction to the county that it happened in, which would be St. Charles County. There's no federal jurisdiction in this. And that sat for 7 months up in federal court under Judge Ronnie White. And 7 months later, he kicked it back down, said
Okay.
this needs to go to county. I don't have any jurisdiction here. And I'm gonna let the county handle it. Now, why did he wait 6-7 months on a contestation? It's crazy. They knew I didn't have representation. They were going to take advantage. They were going to try to bury this in any way they could. And in
Yeah.
fact, Ashcroft had said to, and Joe Brazil, our county, our council member,
Mhm.
gave a sworn statement as evidence in an exhibit that I submitted, that Ashcroft had said to him at a fundraising event prior to my hearing on September 19th that he removed it to federal. he told him that this will never see the inside of a courtroom.
So he was determined at J. Ashcroft to make sure not only was it delayed, your hearing, then he delayed it to a federal court because he wanted to postpone it ever being held at the county court where it belonged. And then he went to he went to the county judge to make sure it never was heard, period, and
Well, I
put
don't know if
pressure
he was
on.
the judge, but he was at a fundraiser and had
uh,
told a council member
okay, the council
Joe
member.
Brazil that it'll never see the inside of a courtroom. And Joe
Okay.
Brazil was astonished. Like, what do you mean it's not? You are the Secretary of State. You should be investigating, and he's like, it'll never see the inside of a courtroom. And
So
as a candidate, we have the right to present the evidence of irregularities that happened. So not only did Secretary of State Ashcroft violate my rights, but Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office violated my rights.
yeah.
And now you have a civil rights case, right? And these guys toad around, going around saying that they're so conservative and they have these conservative values, and they've done just the opposite. In fact, they've gone through great lengths to hide election fraud and election transparency and the illegalities that are happening right here in their own backyard. But Andrew Bailey's very interested in going on a national level and defending Trump because that's a headline.
Well,
The headline
yeah.
here he wouldn't get that, so he doesn't want to do it.
Mm.
And I just think it's so important for people to know that Jay Ashcroft is not a good dude. He's not. He has done a lot of damage, not only to our elections. He's stolen my voice. He's stolen your voice. He's stolen everybody's voice here because we don't have a say so on who governs who governs our counties, because we don't have a voice in our vote anymore because they've taken it with machines because it's invalid as soon as you put that in a tabulator. And there's a lot of people that like to say, oh, we don't use machines, we just use a tabulator. And
Mm.
Andrew Bailey went on Tim Pool. It, I'm blown away at the stupidity, the pure stupidity. Like, the guy is the attorney general. He should know. He's like, we don't use touch screen and we have tabulators that count it.
Mhm.
You don't get it. Like, you don't
It's
get it.
still a computer.
It's still a computer. It's still a machine, and it still is a source code, and it still is not legal.
Mm.
Even if that stupid thing is completely accurate, it's
Hmm.
not legal because you have to follow the laws. Now, if they determine that certifications, this, signing authority and all dates don't matter on certifications, that's going to open a can of worms for these certification field and
Yeah.
accreditation field. You've got medical, you've got military. I mean, you've got all these certifications that go by. And why is it taken less seriously with our elections, our most critical infrastructure? It's crazy. And the Unison are the machines that's primarily used in Missouri.
Hmm.
So you don't hear Unison a lot talked about. You don't hear what shady stuff they're up to, right? Well,
Yeah.
Unison is owned 73% owned by the Baraja company, which is a company in India. Baraja company partners with China, and they've just built new software and machines for China lottery. So you've got the same people. Why are our machines that are used in Missouri partnering with China? Like,
Mhm.
can we not do better? And they're just ignoring it. And nobody, like, nothing's changed from 2020. And the part that hurts me the most is nothing changes if nothing changes, and nothing's changed. So people, they're like, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like, I thought I'd get further, and I've
Yeah.
tried my best to get further in this fight, but the best I can do is get it out to the people and let them decide.
And there's
Um,
been consequence and personal consequences to you.
yes.
The judge made a decision where all of the cost of the case were put on
Tax.
you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did that on the dismissal of the appeal. So everything that is or dismissal of the circuit case. So they said that all costs will be taxed to me, the plaintiff. And and not only that sort of cost, but like, I'm not an attorney. I mean,
Mhm.
like, I don't know how to, I've had to learn the law,
Yeah,
case, and not just in circuit court. I've had to learn it in the circuit court, in the federal court, and in the appeals court. Normally, you just have an appellate attorney, or you have a, you don't. So to learn all of this and try to do it and defend yourself while you've got Ashcroft and Bailey up there ignoring it all. I mean, it's just astounding. I mean, we're supposed to be for the people, by the people. And if it's
yeah,
not, then there's a problem. And
yeah,
more people need to know about it. And it's not
yeah.
for lack of trying. I've tried. So I appreciate anything I can do to get this word out. I do. So I appreciate the interview and trying to
Well,
help.
I'm glad to do it because I feel the same way you do about Ashcroft. I have seen and written as much as I can about some of the things that Ashcroft's done, from the biometrics company his dad's now acquired um, to his actions with oppressing election integrity questions that people have had on social media. He seems there was a FOIA request and people knew that he was involved, but when the DHS released some information, for some reason, he wasn't mentioned.
Acted.
Yeah, he was redacted.
Sure. It's
Yeah,
because the power and pull behind the Ashcroft name and the money.
yeah,
I don't think it holds. I'm hoping that people realize, the Ashcroft legend, his dad brought in the Patriot Act.
yeah,
Why would we want to be anywhere near this? I mean,
yeah.
like, the fact that people are even contemplating it, like, the our GOP, why it's crazy. I just think that, and the fact that he went up to the RNC and was, as a, I had a big problem with him being a delegate, because we when we voted for the amendments, we voted, and it was unanimously, to have on the platform to get rid of the electronic voting machines.
Hmm.
Ashcroft is not for that, clearly, yet they want to prop him up like he's some angel of the Republican Party when he's actively going against the principles of the Republican Party. Like, I don't
He,
know. I don't know what more
I,
people need to see.
I've been told so many times he's such a strong Christian man, and I think, and I can't tell you whether he is or not because that's not my place. But
Right.
his actions as a political leader are to
Don't find out.
minimize and destroy the constitutional rights of Missourians. And as governor, he's going to accelerate that process rather than protect us. I don't see a person who's going to go to Jefferson City and in um, be a leader in constitutional rights.
No, no, he's
So
not. He's not done it now. Why would we give him more power? It's
yeah,
crazy. It's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. He's got to go.
yeah,
Bailey's got to go. All these
exactly.
have to go. They've got to go. My
Beautiful dog.
thanks.
You're welcome. And I see that same process with Bailey. They both were very instrumental in getting an ag law passed, where it looked like they were trying to say, we won't let China buy any more land here in Missouri. But if you look at the law closely, the decision on whether the land gets purchased or not has to go through both of their offices. And so you could still purchase land from any of these nine nations that they blocked.
They've just given
And
power and authority to approve it.
yeah, and so they could turn a blind eye, or if you're one of those, you're in a moment where we need to slap your wrist, we will prevent it from happening. But
Mm-hmm.
it had no teeth to it unless they wanted to put teeth to it.
Right.
But
They
they can go
cloud
to the
it.
vote.
It's something they're doing for us. They
Yeah,
color it and wrap it in this package like they're helping us, and look what we did.
yeah,
Because they know half the population's not going to go in and read it like you did. Doesn't go
yeah,
in and read it like, no. Who's read the HAVA Act? Probably nobody,
yeah,
right? Me and my buddies, but it's those type of things. We just need to get more educated on
yeah.
the. So we need to start reading these bills.
Yeah, a lot of people will see the name of the bill and they'll think, wow, that's fantastic. Jay Ashcroft's really trying to protect me. And no, Jay Ashcroft is trying to fleece you.
Right. He's hosing you right now and
Yeah.
throwing you under the bus and then reversing the bus and backing it up and running over you again.
Yeah, he was behind getting the school vouchers passed here
Oh,
SB 727. It was a terrible bill.
oh,
Uh, it,
it's terrible.
yeah. And
Terrible.
so if you guys want to vote for Jay Ashcroft, you are making sure that Missouri is a poor state in the next 4 years. You will see that more money is going to go to the rich and wealthy Chinese, and less money will go to native Missourians. That's who Jay
And
Ashcroft is.
he just doesn't care about your rights. He
No.
doesn't care. He does not care about your rights. If he cared, he would have, if he wasn't running from anything in this election, if I didn't have valid points, he would have let me fall flat on my face. I was pro se. There was no
Mhm.
threatening attorneys. All I had was the truth behind me, and he knew it, and he still ran from it. And he ran from it very publicly. Tried to, I mean, who moves a county contestation to federal court? Like, it's just, you just don't do it.
Yeah.
And he's an attorney and he knows these things, so he's not stupid.
No. He's playing the game and he's trying to make it impossible for you to succeed. And he doesn't want you to succeed because he doesn't want to admit that there's election integrity
Well,
problems.
it implicates him
Yeah.
because he's done it. And so, of course, he's not going to investigate himself. We've got the fox watching the hen house. And then Bailey throwing cover for him the whole time.
Yeah,
And
Bailey is.
I've actually heard that Andrew Bailey, in the quiet night of Christmas
Mhm,
from whenever Schmidt, it was over Christmas that they switched offices. Schmidt went up to DC and Andrew Bailey took over. And in like the dark of night, they transferred. I heard from somebody within their office,
mhm.
there were like 200 election fraud cases that Andrew Bailey's just been sitting on. He's done nothing with. And it's
Yeah,
infuriating me that he goes out and says, "Oh, I'm fighting election integrity." It's like, you're not doing anything. Like,
yeah.
at least you're not in your own state. If you're fighting it over there, but you're going for AG here. I
Mm.
mean, so you need to be worried about your own backyard, buddy. And we've got the candidate, Will Sharf, that is much more interested in election integrity than Andrew
Mm.
Bailey ever could be.
Yeah, I've
Um,
submitted sunshine complaints about our library. They're breaking the law. If when you go in to the library board meeting and you submit comments and you turn in paperwork, they have to submit that into the record. That's the law. And I've submitted complaints to them about that because they refused to put those um, submitted records into the public record, and he won't investigate. He refuses to
mm-mm.
because he doesn't care about these little issues. He only cares about getting his name in the newspaper nationally for all the stupid things that he got us. He is responsible for the FBI now being able to go in and say to social media, we can tell you to stop letting those people speak. That's Andrew Bailey
Mm.
because he prosecuted that case so poorly, the FBI was able to succeed at diminishing First Amendment rights.
He torpedoed it. It was awful. You know
Yeah.
what else he torpedoed, which along the lines of his headline campaign,
Mm,
he stepped in the Winsville School District out here and really came to bat for these whistleblowers.
mm,
There's supposed to be this big case, and it has been extended now twice, not because of anybody else but him. He's
mhm.
did it twice. And the Winsville School Board, they're ready to go. They're ready to get this done. And he's doing nothing because there's no more headlines in it for him.
Yeah.
And that he's hurting his community, he's hurting his state, he's hurting the people, his constituents. And the fact that he's saying that he's for election integrity is laughable. It's
Yeah,
laughable.
he only cares about the headlines because he's got his eyes set on a bigger prize.
Mm.
He's looking at state senator or governor one day, and this guy is a joke. He never has met almost every case he's prosecuted has been a failure, where he's either given money to Planned Parenthood because of his failures, or he's increased abortion rights somewhere.
Don't read, just go by his headlines. And that's the unfortunate part, is that a lot of people are misled by those headlines in his Twitter, posts, and they're
mhm,
misled because if you actually go in and read the pleadings, or you go in and read the judge's opinion, and you go in and read this, they're not good. He's not a good attorney.
no,
Read his stuff. It's not good.
yeah,
Like,
he's a failure as an attorney.
yeah, yeah. So I will say to anybody and everybody, go look at his record. Go look what he's done to me. I'm here. I'm telling you, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've lost so much. I've had to sacrifice so much to fight this. I've lost my livelihood. I lost my house. I've lost everything because I had to fight this. I had to pay for it. I had to do this.
Mhm.
It was sacrifices I was willing to make. I knew I was going to make them if I was going to take this on. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit by and silent while these liars just say the opposite. And it's important that people understand that I'm just like you. I
Yeah.
am nobody. I'm just a realtor that minded my own business, wanted to do my own, and you find this information and you have a duty. You have a duty as a citizen. You have a duty to your country to report this. And
Yeah.
when there's corruption above you and reporting it and you get suppressed and it happens, then you've really got that's how I know there's something to this, because nobody wants to answer for it. And to this day, out of the contestation and the federal case, I never got an answer. In fact, none of the judges ever had to answer for my irregularities. All they did was file their motions to dismiss and say that it was conjecture and that standing and she didn't do this. And, it never was, nobody answered any of the questions in the petition that said, hey, what is this? Whoa, never answered. In fact, we went through 6 judges. So there were 6 judges, they were recused. We had to go back to the Supreme Court to
Mhm.
for judicial assignment twice, because they're all conflicted. So a lot of them are conflicted because they've worked with Ashcr-ft or if they've done cases with Ashcr-ft. So you have an unjust system that was no way. And a lot of these judges, in fact, all of them, if you want to go back to 2009 or 10, let's give it at
Mhm.
that. Half of these judges, if they weren't appointed, they were elected on the illegal machines. So I had one appeal judge, Judge Navarro McKelvey, that she was just put in with the unison voting machines. It's like they're all conflicted. They can't be over this case because they have more than a de minimis stake in the outcome, because
Yeah.
if they show that these aren't legal, then their butt's not in that seat either. So how am I ever supposed to get a fair case? How am I ever supposed to get a fair trial? Because you've got from everything from the attorneys to the judges that,
They're broken.
yeah,
Yeah. The system, they have been inside this machine system for so long that it's almost impossible now for anybody to be willing to
yeah.
be as brave as you are to challenge it. The judges would have to be willing to sacrifice their own career.
Oh yeah.
And
For the outcome that comes out. And I really, really, there was one judge that I really wanted, that I really believed would have been fair, but he was conflicted. He was
mm,
just nominated on the unison. So we had to, in fact, he was so honest, and what was that judge's name? Travis Partney. Um, we heard really amazing things about this judge, and I was really
mm,
excited. But I realized that he was elected on these unison voting systems that he's gonna see. It's gonna be obvious when we get in there. He's gonna see I was voted in on these same machines. I
yeah.
can't do it. And he did, and he recused himself. He said, I will recuse," because I asked him to, because I didn't want any conflict. But I also wanted to show the court system,
mm,
Ashcroft, how entangled this problem, what kind of constitutional crisis this throws us in. Because every judge that they assign me, I come back and go, you're conflicted because you were voted in on these two. You're conflicted because you were voted in on these two. You're conflicted because you were voted in on these two. They're gonna go, everybody's voted. I'm gonna be like, exactly. Therein lies the problem.
There's almost no way to get out of the problem without getting rid of the machines. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
think we have to, because not only are all of our elections illegal because they're not being certified, but I think the machines are, from some of the evidence I've seen, they're throwing the elections to certain people. They're
Yep.
skewing the data to um the people that are more aligned with the power to be, the
Well,
powers behind.
and so that also goes into the source code. So the source code,
Hmm.
so, and how the machine counts the votes. So are they fractionalized? Under thousands of layers of code, does that code tell the machine after this point start fractionalizing Bill Eigel's votes and start giving more to Ashcroft than you're giving Eigel? Or maybe they weigh them differently. Maybe they're weighted. Maybe they're fractionalized. We don't know. That's by definition the mistrust that we have in our elections, because we have a black box inside that tabulator, inside those machines, that does the counting for us, and we don't know how that's programmed to count. We can't see it.
Yeah, and you can
Problem.
do ephemeral data, and you can put all of that in, and then you can make it disappear as if it was never there.
Absolutely. And you won't even, no paper trail, no nothing, just gone. And they
Yeah.
know it. They
And
know it.
the only way to ever determine whether it was accurate or not is to take those ballots and count them by hand. But once they seal them, they won't let you touch them again.
No, and that's the thing, is that a lot of these tabulators have optical scanners in them. So you don't even know. Now, like St. Charles County claims that, oh, the ballot that your fingerprints are on are the one that's counted. I don't believe it. I don't
Hmm.
believe you. You lie. And but that a lot of them have optical scanners that are reprinting them. So you're counting the printed, you're not counting the actual.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. It is not good. And it just simplifies everything. We go back to hand counted, hand cast paper ballots, which is exactly what Eigel's going to do, which is exactly what Denny Hoskins is going to do. These are
Yeah.
the things, these are the representatives, these are our fighters that we have to get elected. You know, you
Yeah.
look at Kehoe, you had mentioned these machines, they're going to certain, you know, you look at these people that won't debate, they won't
Hmm.
go to debate. In fact, Kehoe's going to Cory Bush and
Yeah.
what's his name? Wesley
Sorry, I don't know the second person. I can pull it up.
Wesley West, I don't know. Just two complete
Liberals. Yeah, very liberal, racist almost.
yes. Oh, Cory Bush is the racist one of them all. But
Yeah,
you're going to a DNC fundraiser instead of
a debate.
a debate that the only televised that your constituents want to hear. And the only people that can do that, are competent to do that, are like Joe Biden, that has the campaign from his basement because he knows there it's already the fix is in. Like
Yeah,
Kehoe,
he's
that's what bothers me, is the fix in with Kehoe, because he ain't I mean he ain't showing. I think either that or he doesn't want Eigel to show him up with his China purchases. But
the fix may be in for Keogh because he's got Tilly behind him. He's got Tilly's money. Sinkfield's also, I think, given money to him. There's a lot of money that's going
oh yeah,
in
oh yeah,
his direction,
and
and I could see the fix on the machines being in for Keogh. And Keogh, I can't see him being that popular with most voters because he's kind of a jerk. I mean,
yeah,
he just he
arrogant,
has
egotistical, is got a greater than attitude, and that you are a pleb and that you are beneath me. um
I think
I
that vibe comes off of him just to the general voter, whether they're uh, talking to him or looking at him. He doesn't come across as genuine or friendly.
not at all. No, not at all, not at
Yeah,
all. Yeah.
and so yeah, for him to win the primary, I would I'd be shocked for him to do it honestly. And if he wins, I would suspect that we don't have an honest election.
Oh, I
So
already know we don't have an honest election.
yeah, I know.
Fortunately, it's already been proven because nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So if we would have changed something, anything, there'd be a chance of a different outcome. But if nothing changes, nothing changes. And nothing has changed.
Yeah.
There's
And we're always going
nothing.
to get the worst possible candidate. We'll never get a good candidate as long as we have machines.
Yeah. Then there, because it is a system designed to work against the people. It is
Hmm.
designed for that design to work against the people, to be not transparent. And nobody's gonna, if nobody trusts, regardless of proving any fraud, regardless of anything, if the people don't trust the form of elections, it needs to be changed. And the people don't trust them. And it's bipartisan, don't trust them. The Democrats don't trust them either.
Yeah.
So why are we using them? Did we vote as the people? Did we vote for electronic voting machines? We didn't. We didn't
But
get a say. Huh?
if it was 2002, Bush gave them to us.
Yeah,
And
well,
do
it was a congressionally passed HAVA Act that
yeah.
actually what Ashcroft says in his interview
Oh, Ashcroft.
with Rob Carter says that the HAVA Act, so Ashcroft has overstepped his bounds, to put it lightly, because
Hmm.
he says by his own words that the HAVA Act is for the machines, is the machines to be used for Americans with disabilities. So if you have a disability, and federal elections. So those two things only. So why are we being forced to use these for all the elections?
Yeah.
Why are we being forced, if we're not disabled, why do we have to use them? I'm having a hard time understanding when the law states that Ashcroft has the power and the capability to determine the time, date, and manner. So he can do it. He says, I can't do it. It's the HAVA Act. No, you can leave those machines in place for the disabled and for federal elections. And in fact, if you even wanted to leave them in place for all elections for the disabled, fine.
Yeah.
But nobody else, unless you are registered as disabled on your vote, on the voting, on the voter rolls, you're voting by hand on, and it's going to be hand casted. Like, that's how it needs to be. But he has taken this, and I think because it only benefits him, because he knows he'd never be able to win without him.
Sure.
Uh, but I really, really wish, I know Eigel has pushed for, and will do it. I have no doubt he will get rid of them. I wish he would bring more light on his opponent, on what he's done with these machines,
Yeah.
and how his opponent has usurped the will of the people with these machines and refuses to get rid of them, because it's by definition how he's using them is counter to the actual HAVA Act. We don't have to use them for every election. Why are we using them for every election?
Well, I'll tag Bill on when I put this on X, and hopefully he'll share it out. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of traction. And I tagged him on a post I did with Ashcroft supporter who's going after Zeke. And every time Zeke handed out a flyer, she would go right behind them and try convincing them how
Oh,
great Ashcroft
I
was.
saw that. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, and he
Just
repo oh,
harass.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, he reposted. I got like 10,000 views out of it. So maybe he'll help me
He's
out
kicking
here.
some butt. That ad yesterday was epic.
Yeah, that
Epic.
was pretty good.
Got like 1.6 million views on his Twitter. So I'm pretty
That's
proud
really
of him.
good. So
Amazing.
good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
For
getting
sure. We need
1.6
to get
million
him in
views.
the office. We need to get him and Will Sharfin. Could you
Yeah.
imagine that team together? Like, it smells like freedom already.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get some vetoes out of this off of some of the bills coming out of the House and Senate because some of this stuff is crazy.
It's just straight communism, straight
Oh,
social,
it
like the
absolutely is. The
crazy.
and we need to stop it. So well, I'll go ahead and end the interview because we've gone a little longer than I think we had planned, but I appreciate
Yeah.
so much. If you have anything else you want to share later on, let me know. I'll be happy to have you back on. It was a great interview, Ali.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good one.
You too. Take care. Let me
Thanks.
stop the recording.